So, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the channel. Um, we are here quite late. Well, quite late, very late in the day. I was supposed to put out a video earlier today, to be honest, in the morning, but stupid me last night forgot to actually check the train timetables before going to sleep or before wrapping up the recordings because it turns out my train to get me into work at a suitable time was actually significantly earlier than I was hoping it would be. So that basically that and me waking up late as well has ultimately just ruined everything. Everything's just in flames and burning, and it's all apocalyptic right now. The whole landscape's apocalyptic. But we are here, and basically, because there's quite a few talking points, it's not like major breaking news as such, but there's a lot of talking points to go over. So basically, I just thought I'd wrap everything up in a singular video, which I don't know how long this is going to be. I'll try and be as sort of direct and straight to the point with as much of these topics as I can. But I'm also going to try, if it is a longer video, if it does so happen to end up being a long video, I'll try and put some timestamps in. So if there's certain bits and pieces of news, say you want to skip, you want to cut through the BS, you want to go straight to that point, then probably will make it easier. But I suppose that's if the case if this video goes for a long time. I don't actually have a lot of recording space because with the StreamYards thing, I've still only got the free basic stuff. So I've only got like 5 hours worth of recording space before I have to delete stuff, which is not good. It's not very good. But even so, I don't really need to keep. I don't really need to keep that much recording space, to be honest with you. So, yeah, I should probably get to deleting some of the old content because it's now uploaded on YouTube, so I don't need to worry about it anymore. But anyways, we're going to start. Where shall we start? There's all sorts of bits that we can talk about here. Um, so, let's start with Caicedo. So, Caicedo news, because I think that was probably one of the last topics I spoke about in terms of potential incomings into Manchester United. And first and foremost, Moises Caicedo, apparently, according to Dashel Don Sport. No idea who that is, but this is via United Stand, by the way. I'm pretty much just using their Twitter feed, just the United Stand's Twitter feed, because literally it's just a hub for transfer information. And like me, I see news, regardless of where it's from. I'm going to give my verdict on it. I'm going to say what I think, say what I see, see it, say it, sorted, one of those sorts of ordeals, except there's no British Transport Police involved in this one. So, MUFC have also held talks with Moises Caicedo's side regarding a potential move. So, again, preliminary talk sort of things, not really a huge amount to go off of there. That was basically after they'd reported on Adrien Rabiot's situation, which, as we know, very soon, a bit like David De Gea, Adrien Rabiot is going to be out of contract. Yay! Means free signings for everyone, but that's if the talks for Juventus, or talks with Juventus, go really well. Well, if they don't go well, is what I mean to say. But we are supposedly monitoring the Adrien Rabiot situation really closely, keeping eyes, keeping tabs, keeping the finger on the buzzer. And basically, we're just alert if the contract situation doesn't resolve with Juventus, then we basically just be the cleanup crew, essentially. Just take whatever's, whatever's leftovers. And I think you all know, if you do watch other previous videos, you'll know what I think about Adrien Rabiot. I don't think he's a fantastic player. I don't think he's that special. But if it's on the case that it's a free transfer, it's like what I like to call the why not transfer. Why not? Because if he's free, if he's available, why not? Get in there, just get a deal done. So it's depth, it's extra depth, and any depth with a player like Rabiot is better than depth with Scott McTominay and Fred. the iconic, undefeated partnership in world football for midfields. But Moises Caicedo, I think this is definitely the player that we should be going for because he's on a defensive level. He's exactly what this midfield needs. I think Casemiro. I think with what the club was wanting to do with Mason Mount, I don't think it would have worked with what perhaps a lot of people were assuming Mason Mount would be, what sort of role it would be that he'd play, considering that we are then still lacking in deeper midfield areas. I know that we've also got Declan Rice stuff happening. Apparently, that's starting to get into gear a bit, but he's still we're essentially still third place and complete outsiders in the Declan Rice race. Um, but yeah, personally, I like Caicedo. I'd go for Caicedo. I'd spend whatever it is. Like that. I think it was rumored 80 million. Someone came out and then said, actually, you know what? Brighton fancy Caicedo being about 100 million. Listen, it was originally 80 million. Just stick 80 million on the table right in front of them and let them mold over it because I think they'd look at 80 million and yeah, they'd sit there and be in second thought about it. It's one of those bids where if you're like a Brighton sized club and you just get smashed down £80 million, cold hard cash right there in front of you, it's going to make any club in Brighton's position think 100%. Plus 80 million, think about how much money that is to be able to invest elsewhere in your club, if not on incomings. But then again, we also know how Brighton are. So to be honest, with their transfer ethics, you'd almost like to question, well, since you like to spend peanuts anyway, I'm sure you don't need that much money, right? Right? You don't need that much money if you're spending peanuts. You're not that ambitious. If we give you 80 million, you go spend 60, 70, or even the 80 million on another player. That would be ambition, but don't think Brighton are in that sort of boat yet. So then later on today, so the Adrien Rabiot news was basically yesterday, about yesterday late evening, that we had spoken with Adrien Rabiot's representatives about potential contract offer. But then today came out, MUFC target Adrien Rabiot will sign a renewal with Juventus on Wednesday. An agreement has been reached with the mother agent. Of course it has. Of course, Mother Rabiot, the sinful mother compared to Mother Teresa. But still, if that's the case, well, this is coming from a different source compared to the previous report. So this comes from Core Sport via the United Stand, which I think is probably a more believable thing. That I think it's probably likely that will be the outcome. Then again, if there are serious talks, I can't imagine that Rabiot would be so made up in his mind exactly what he wants to do. And considering his contracts run down so low, I would have thought that he'd be assessing his options in greater depth for longer. But for some reason, it just sounds like we've only really just started interest in him, which to me it smells of like a Christian Eriksen sort of deal, where it's like, well, cool, he's free and it's a why not sort of deal. But at the same time, your other targets, you don't know how much you're spending on your first target. So if you're getting another deal done in the meantime, you're not spending a penny on it, are you? You're not spending a penny on it. So this, I think, is probably one of potentially, at least in my mind, for me, is probably what they're planning to do, what the plan was, that the big first signing in through the door wasn't going to be the big money signing. It was going to be a player that comes in as a free agent, and to be completely honest, it's really cheap. It's really cheap for Manchester United. A really cheap thing for Manchester United to do, um, and pretty disgraceful if we're going to be completely honest. Um, Scrolling up, we've had some updates from Chris Wheeler. Chris Wheeler from the is that Daily Mail? Yes, it is Daily Mail. Chris Wheeler from the Daily Mail. Let's move that a bit closer. So basically, Chris Wheeler has come out with a lot of information over players that are up for sale, and there's quite a few names mentioned. So we've got Donny van de Beek, Anthony Elanga, Scott McTominay, Harry Maguire, and supposedly as well, Jadon Sancho. Now, for all the YouTube compilation, YouTube comp freaks, YouTube compilation freaks, your other classic, you know, United Twitter mutants that absolutely just, you know, they'll dribble over any player with the aura, the aura at the club. Oh, he's got that aura about him. Those sorts of Twitter accounts, and believe me, you'll know the ones I'm talking about. Trust me. If you're in the football Twitter space, you will know exactly the ones I'm talking about. Most of the clubs have that. I think the only, I mean, even Manchester City are starting to get a few of these guys coming around. Even Manchester City, but Jadon Sancho supposedly available for £45 million, which is a big drop off from the pricing we signed him. But it's more the question: would you sell him now, or would you keep him for another season? Because I feel like if we sell one too many players in different areas where perhaps we would want to keep a hold of players that we don't think that, it's like Jadon Sancho in the winger's position, because it's not a panic stations position that we need to be focusing on this summer and sorting it, resolving it right now. For me, Sancho, it's easy for me. Sancho stays for at least another season. Some people will want him to go 100%. Some people have no patience for him. Some people will say, "Well, he was absolutely terrible last season," and to be fair, he kind of was in most cases. He was pretty bad in most instances, but he had a few good moments here and there. Very, very few goal contributions compared to what you'd expect someone of his technical ability to be able to achieve. So that, yeah. For me, though, like I said, there's way more to worry about before sorting out a winger's position. So for me, Jadon Sancho, I'd want him to stay for now and resolve this problem if it does become a problem come next summer. And you never know. Maybe if we get this Qatari takeover or whatnot sorted out, uh, I mean, we can't really do anything about the summer, but if we have hundreds of millions of pounds to spend for the January transfer, because I can imagine Qataris will come in. They'll approach this with the sort of, "Oh, we are peed off, we are a pissed off attitude," and they'll be coming to a lot of clubs. I'd imagine will probably be the biggest January spend, if well, that's if Qatar is in place, in time, properly ready for a January transfer window. I reckon January transfer window will be the biggest January spend of any club potentially in football history. Potentially. Not because, again, we're just at this point talking in hypotheticals, but it could very well end up being that sort of a January transfer window because the Qataris wanted this summer. They wanted this summer, but they weren't given this summer because the Glazers said, absolutely hell no. You don't get this summer. Why would we want that? No, we just want you to fill our pockets. We don't care about this club. We don't care about the club's progression. We don't care about Erik Ten Hag. We don't care about the fans. We don't care about Ten Hag. We don't care about anyone else. All we care about is your money going into our pockets. That's it. That is it. It honestly is absolutely despicable. It is seriously despicable behaviour, greedy, despicable behaviour. But that's just the ethics. That's just what the Glazers do. That's what the Glazers have always been about. They haven't been about anything different. You know, they're not covered in glory. Jesus Christ, no, absolutely not. So, yeah, again, because it's not a panic situation for wingers this summer, don't worry about this summer. You can solve that problem if it becomes a problem in January. I'm sure of it. Um, had so James Ducker from the Telegraph had mentioned here that Erik Ten Hag wants Harry Kane, but had settled for a cheaper, more attainable alternative. Although Højlund and Ramos would still cost a lot. But the problem is that it's not that they also cost a lot; it's that they're about the same. They are about the same price. So for me, it's not that they're more attainable at all. It's just that everyone's charging you at a price that you don't want to spend on anyone. You don't want to spend that sort of money on anyone, because this is the thing. John Murtough, which to whom has said that he doesn't want to be fleeced by any club. Sorry, mate, but unless you become a master negotiator tomorrow, you are definitely overspending on practically every transfer target that we are linked to this summer. Practically every one. Because you're not that good of a negotiator. Even if you're not going to take any nonsense from other clubs, and you can go report it to the press and say, "Oh, go tell the world that no one's being fair to me in the negotiation rooms. They're not being fair to me. They're trying to make me look like a fool. They're insulting my intelligence." Well, the problem is, John, that you're not that good of a negotiator anyway, and you've been at this club for God knows how long, and you've done nothing to warrant you staying here and keeping your job. You've done absolutely nothing to warrant it. So, to be quite frankly honest, you're going to have to overspend. And when you're done overspending and you're done this summer, you can start. You go make yourself an Indeed profile, because you, son, are looking for another job. That is it. You're looking for another job by the end of this summer. So, also here, continuing with Telegraph, David De Gea's contract expires on July 1st. He's yet to sign an extension with Inter Milan's Onana as one of several targets. MUFC protracted takeover saga is not making a complicated summer any easier. Well, we all know the situation is basically the Glazers just don't want to. I think the Glazers have released some funds, but they're very small funds. But what we're watching right now is a completely useless board, not able to do transfer negotiations, because this is the thing. If they can't overpay, they're not good enough to negotiate for cheaper fees. So they've come out and they've said, "Oh, we will not overpay or pay stupid money." Okay, then. Okay, well, I guess we're not signing anyone this summer then, because you're not going to pay stupid money. Did you shoot yourself in the foot, John? Did you shoot yourself in the foot? I think you shot yourself in the foot when you said, "Oh, we're not going to pay stupid money." Okay, then. Every club you go to, and they stick the asking price into the bloody atmosphere, they send that asking price up to the stratosphere, you're done. Oh, I guess I'll just go look somewhere else then. Man could walk into a League Two side and ask them, "Oh, can we sign one of your midfielders?" And they'll go, 100 million, please. And John will turn around with his tail tucked between his legs and just waddle up again. Seriously, because it's like, oh, we're not going to overpay, but that's what you've practically done on almost every single transfer since you've had the power, or since this board had taken control or changed its ethics, its work ethic in the past 10 years. It's literally just overpay for like 95% of our transfers. I mean, the only transfer realistically that I can think of in the last 10 years that we legitimately perhaps didn't overpay compared to what their actual market value is probably Tyrell Malacia. And that is it. I can't really think of anyone else. I don't know if Ander Herrera, perhaps, about 30 million, I think he was. I think Eric Bailly was probably overpriced because he was essentially like the second/third choice centre back at Villarreal at the time when we signed him. So I think, yeah, it's probably about right. About 95% of all of our transfers we've overpaid for. So the entire bread and butter for this board to actually do deal negotiations, they've actually pledged to not do. So how are you going to do your job then? How are you going to do your job? How are you going to sign anyone? Because the second they put a high asking price, that's it. You failed your job. You're not going to do it. I mean, it's no idea what's going on there. Connection got a bit dodgy there in the recording, so fingers crossed it's okay. So Fabrizio Romano also today had stated that interest, MUFC's interest in Declan Rice is there, but there's nothing concrete in terms of bids. So again, we're sitting over there just like, oh, but do we want to put in big bids? No, I don't think we do. Oh, if you need the player, get the bloody player. Like, you're gonna have to overpay. You're going to have to overpay. So just get on with it. For God's sakes, just get on with it. I suppose there was two names that I think have presented themselves, and by what's been mentioned about in terms of like funds and whatnot, there's probably one player that we could legitimately get for a reasonable price in respects to their quality. And it's probably the ball is most likely going to be completely in our court as well with this in terms of value. But I'm looking at Frenkie de Jong. Apparently that name's come back to the tables, come back to haunt us. Frenkie de Jong, because Barcelona still got to do their whole thing of needing to sell just so that they can register players in their squad, because they've already started signing players at Barcelona and they can't do the financial levers anymore because they've been suspended from doing that. So they've got to actually sell players in order to be able to register new signings. So Frenkie de Jong, watch this space. Another name that has been mentioned here is Ajax attacking midfielder Mohamed Kudus is getting strongly linked with MUFC. He's on their shortlist, but currently not in pole position. Ajax want 45 million euros. 45 million euros. That's about 30-ish, sort of mid to high 30s in pounds bid. Well, it is probably about just shy of 40 million pounds, which is okay if you say you do the Frenkie de Jong deal, get a player of that that ilk. Well, bloody hell! If you go get a player of that sort of quality, and then you can sign Kudus straight afterwards at a relatively. I mean, it's probably going to be the cheapest price an actual midfielder that commands a transfer fee that you can get this summer. Because God knows you're going to get a Mason Mount for anywhere near the asking price that Ajax want for Mohamed Kudus. So that's probably going to have to be an option that United explore. Would I take Kudus at United? In an attacking sense, quite possibly. But again, it swings and roundabouts because we're back into the same thing of it's not a priority position. So would you want to spend for that position or would you want to save? And if it becomes a problem later on, address it later on. Got here supposedly with Simon Jones from the the Kudus reports came from Mike Verway, and European lad. MUFC have interest from Premier League clubs Aaron Wan-Bissaka. So Bournemouth, Crystal Palace, and Fulham have all inquired about Aaron Wan-Bissaka. This happened earlier this year, but they're all looking at cheaper options. Wan-Bissaka's probably not going to be offered for an expensive or an extortionate price anyway. So I'm pretty surprised that they've not gone and stuck bids in for Aaron Wan-Bissaka. Mara Soter Haag is known more of FC Utrecht midfielder Taylor Booth, the basically youngish USA international player, another Eredivisie talent. Jesus Christ. Going back, we might as well just buy the Eredivisie league rights at this point. We seem to be only going for those players at the moment. MUFC focuses on Mason Mount after leaving their £55 million offer on the table, and though they are exploring other possible midfielders, that is to be expected. Mason Mount will report for training and make himself available for Chelsea's pre-season tour of the United States if a move to MUFC remains on hold. So this is now on to Matt Law from the Daily Telegraph. Mason Mount is set to tell Pochettino that he will continue to give everything for Chelsea while he is still a player at the club, and that he's prepared to go on tour and work hard next season. Now, this is important, this bit here. MUFC have had 3 bids for Mount rejected by Chelsea, but the England international has not requested to leave the club. Because I heard some birdies told me that some people were saying that he had handed transfer requests in, or he had told the club that we're leaving. Because apparently, I also said something along similar lines. That someone had mentioned that he'd requested to leave the club, and so brought the asking price down significantly. Well, according to Matt Law here, that's not true. So Mason Mount doesn't want to leave Chelsea. Oh, I mean, I've also heard that from another report as well. I can't remember who it was from. So it's Zidane Iqbal's finalised his move to Utrecht for an undisclosed fee. That was apparently about £850,000. Apparently that move, so it wasn't even a million. A 40% sell-on and a buyback clause was included in that deal for Zidane Iqbal, so we can buy him back for a set fee with a significant sell-on clause as well. Tottenham, so John Percy from the Telegraph. Tottenham are yet to indicate whether they will bid for Maguire, and there is no certainty they will, but interest has been registered in the player. Well, I'll tell you what, Vange Postecoglou has any wits about him, he'd be running for the hills. He would be absolutely running for the hills. Tottenham have been linked with Van der Ven, I think it is, from Wolfsburg. Apparently quite a pacey centre-back, and for about £26 million has been mentioned. So I think that's probably recommendation to Ange Postecoglou and whoever else it is who does transfer business for Tottenham Hotspur. Go sign that player. You don't want Harry Maguire. You really don't. You really, really don't. You can entertain the masses, and you can have a joke around the negotiating tables and all of that. You can have a joke and say, "Oh, you know that time where we put out a story where we were linked to Harry Maguire? Oh, yeah, I remember that." It's all well and good you do that, but seriously, you do not want to be interested in Harry Maguire. As much as I really am desperate for him to leave, because he's practically a clown at the back. He's literally a clown at the back, and I don't care what anyone else tells me about him. He is a clown, and this clown, his circus has gone. His circus has gone fucking bust. It's a complete and abrupt failure. But that's basically a rundown, a quick wrap up of everything that's happened today. I've got to end this video real quick if I'm going to be able to have space to upload it. So I'm going to wrap it up there. Let me know what you guys think about the situations going on with a lot of the players. What you make of the situation with the the negotiations going on with this club and the negotiating team, and who you reckon the first player through the door is going to be uh, for Manchester United signings. Who is it going to be? Is it apparently I've also seen today that there is a young uh, fullback, a young English fullback being signed, or a deal is about to be done for a young English fullback from Watford. So maybe he's the first signing. Maybe he is the star signing. He's the only signing that we make. But anyways, you guys let me know. You let me know what you think. How this whole summer transfer window is making you feel, the absolute disgrace that it is. Also, another thing, just before I wrap this up, big ups to the 1958, yeah? Big ups to the 1958. That protest group tomorrow outside the megastore, because Manchester United are announcing their shirt release. They will be there at the megastore protesting. If you are local to Manchester and you fancy getting involved, go there. Get involved with that protest. Just search them up on Twitter in the 1958 group. They give you a rundown on everything that's going on with regards to the protest. So if you are local to that, then do be sure to go make your voice heard, because some things, as what they say is their motto, some things are absolutely worth fighting for. If I lived local to Manchester, I'm pretty sure that I would be putting myself in that mix, but I live on the opposite end of the bloody country, so what hope in hell have I got? Plus, I can't really afford to travel up and down the country with rail travel and all of that. It's so extortionately expensive. But yeah, just going to leave it at that. Going to wrap it up. So hopefully you guys enjoyed me ranting a few moments in this video. Let me know what you guys think and feel about everything going on at the moment with the transfers, with the board, with the club sale, and all of that. Pop it down in the comments below. I do always read through the comments and do somewhat give a response, serious or not. Depends what you're feeling or what's going through your mind, but let me know what you think. Do be sure to hit the like. Do be sure to subscribe. And don't forget to turn the notification bell on for when I next upload videos or go live. And we'll be seeing y'all again real soon. Ciao for now.